कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामिन् इति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यादेशतारिणि जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभु जय गुरुदेवा जय गुरुदेवा हरिनाम कीर्तन की जय श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय और भक्त वृंद की जय। ओके ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्री गुरुवे नमः। श्री चैतन्य मनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतः पदकमलं श्रीगुरुर्वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्ण चैतन्य देवं श्री राधा कृष्ण पादान् सहगण ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितं च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते स्तुते देवी प्रणमामि हरि। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण dear devotees. So today, thank you again for joining together for this Bhagavad Gita session. Today we are going to discuss from the 11th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, the universal form, and today we'll be taking verses from 11:1 to 5. So we will begin. I'll share my screen. 11.1. Okay, Prashanti Mataji.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Mataji. Shall I read?
Yes, Mataji.
Yeah. Arjuna uvacha mam anugrahaya paramam guhyam adhyatma sanjitam yat Yatvayoktam vachastena mohoyam vigato mama. Shall I read translation, Mataji?
Yes, Mataji.
Translation by Prabhupada Ki Jai. Arjuna said, by hearing the instructions you have kindly given me about these most confidential spiritual subjects, my illusion has now dispelled.
Okay.
Purport, Mataji?
No, later.
Yes, Mataji.
So now we are beginning the 11th chapter, the universal form. So previous to this chapter is the opulences of the vibhutis, display of vibhutis of Lord Krishna, the display of opulences of the Supreme Lord. That was the 10th chapter. So what all happened in the 10th chapter is Krishna tells that how he is the source of everything that exists, how is the source of the demigods, the sages. So where Prabhupada makes it a point to emphasize on the fact that by hearing about the Supreme Lord constantly, consistently, consciously, we should always remember the Supreme Lord. That is how we develop Krishna consciousness. The whole objective, one of the main objectives of going through all the different chapters is to constantly, consciously knowing more and more about the supremacy of the Supreme Lord. And that way we can instill more and more faith in the words of the acharyas in the Supreme Lord, and that way we can always remain Krishna conscious. So Krishna explains, he says that how is the source of everything that exists, the source of Manus, the source of demigods, the source of the sages, the source of the Kumaras. So in detail he explains, and Arjuna is very much overwhelmed, and he says that I would like to hear more and more about you, want to know more and more about you. Before that also Krishna, the main we covered in the 10th chapter, the Chatushloki Bhagavad Gita, which is nothing but a display of bhakti, the deep bhakti, how the pure devotees of the Lord, they always relish Krishna Katha, how they relish in meditating constantly, focused on thinking, smaranam, shravanam, as well as discussing about the Supreme Lord, Tushanti cha ramanti cha. That is the way they derive pleasure. And also by hearing and discussing the glories of the Supreme Lord, the darkness, the impurifications of the heart is gradually and automatically removed, and the light of knowledge comes to us. So hearing all this, Arjuna is overwhelmed with gratitude and happiness, and with awe and reverence. And so he requests the Lord that please tell me more and more about your opulences, about all your opulences. And wherein Krishna says that it is not possible to tell everything. I'll just share the primary ones. So the idea is that Krishna in detail in the 10th chapter he explains that everything that exists, everything living and non-living, everything character, the guna, karma, the consciousness, as well as the subtle qualities, the gross qualities, everything exists in the Supreme Lord. So now we are in the 11th chapter, which it titles the universal form. So now Arjuna has no doubt. He's completely, he 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 knew the greatness of Krishna always, but while discussing by the narrations of this Bhagavad Gita, he has absolutely no doubt. He has complete faith on the Supreme Lord. He comes to understand that he's just not my friend, he's just not my relative, he is the Supreme Lord, the supreme, most compassionate Lord. So that is more and more enlightenment he gets, and now he's completely convinced. And so he's telling Krishna that I have heard everything about you now, and absolutely I have no doubt. And I have heard about all your opulences. Now I want to see those opulences, if you permit, if it is okay for you. So that is the difference between the 10th and 11th chapter. 10th chapter is about the narration of Krishna's opulences, and 11th chapter is about the display of Krishna's opulences and manifestations. So that is the main. Both are actually that way. If we see Krishna in 10th chapter, he tells about all the various forms where everything rests in him. How is the cause of all causes? And in the 11th chapter, Krishna shows through a manifestation that how he is the cause of all causes through a representation. So why Prabhupada, we will read through the purport also. Prabhupada very importantly says in this point is it is very important for this particular thought which Arjuna means which came to Arjuna and how he expressed is to Krishna. One thing is now Krishna is the Purushottama, he is the Paramatma within the heart of Arjuna also. So exactly what Arjuna is thinking about Krishna, Krishna is very much aware of. So he knows very much, very clearly that what is the mood in which Arjuna is asking Krishna to show his universal form. Absolutely, it is not at all challenging mood. It is out of a bit of curiosity and inquisitiveness. And see, suppose if we know, like if we are very close friend to someone, and suppose it is a little very gross example only, like we have heard that for their in their house for the wedding they have purchased saris from here from there and about so much border and this is that, a detailed explanation about all the saris we have heard. So now we want to see also, no, because we are it's not that we are not believing what they are telling, but it's that I would like to see it also, because now I'm happy to hear and I would like to feel more contented by seeing it. So that one level is also there. So that was also one level which Arjuna really wanted to see and be happy, because he's so overwhelmed with gratitude about Krishna's greatness that he would really love to see. That was one thing. And also, more importantly, it was like in the future, when something nice we have heard and something which we are uh, very clear about something greatness, we want to share it with others, because devotees of the Lord are very compassionate and they want to extend themselves and want to share the positives which they have derived with others, and ought to say about sharing about the Supreme Lord. So at that time, it is very now Arjuna has developed this. He has total faith simply by hearing the opulences, but common man may not have that much faith. So the common man may demand to show something. So to show something. So to say show that also, one of the reasons which Arjuna says tells to Krishna that please, if you are okay, please show your universal form, so that he can show it to the common people and say, see, my Lord is such huge, such great he is. That is one level. Another thing is, uh, and also Prabhupada explains that so if somebody claims that I am God or my so and so person is God, so he can express so many mystic powers. Or like that, if somebody is claiming to be God or somebody is trying to represent some other human being as God, then it is very important for us to ask them that whether they can show the universal form. The Supreme Lord, the Supreme All in All, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, thereby manifested his universal form, which dispels all the illusion of all the common people which have otherwise about Lord Krishna. So there are multiple reasons which Krishna fulfills when he displays any one of his opulences in one sense. So we will read through the purport of the first shloka. Here Arjuna says that by hearing the instruction you have kindly given me. So here he expresses this words, he just expresses his gratitude to Krishna, telling that way my illusion is completely dispelled, like that. So Prashanti Mataji, you will read the purport also.
Yes, Mataji. Purport the Srila Prabhupada ki jai. This chapter reveals Krishna as the cause of all causes. He is even the cause of Mahavishnu, from whom the material universe emanates. Vishnu is not an incarnation, he is the source of all incarnations. That has been completely explained in the last chapter. Now,
Okay,
as far as yes, Mataji.
Yeah. So this is very important. See, many times people have the thought that who is great, Vishnu is great or Krishna is great, and at times we devotees also get a little confused. In that sense, see, now we don't have to compare Vishnu and Krishna, But if there is a debate, if there is a talk, if there is a philosophical discourse or a philosophical talk which is going on, that in that moment it is important to be very clear that who is who. Otherwise, in common for us, everybody is great only. Now, Krishna, Vishnu, we don't distinguish, and we are no one to distinguish. But otherwise, we need to know, and here it is very clearly said that how uh, uh, Krishna is always there in Krishna Loka, and he is quadruple expansion, and expansion of expansion is Mahavishnu. And Mahavishnu is the source of incarnations of all the he's the source of all the material. From his body the different universes emanate. So now where two levels above that Mahavishnu is our Lord Krishna. So we should be very clear with the details. We don't have to distinguish that way, but otherwise we really need to know as devotees that what exactly who is who. So that way we really clearly see here it is said that Mahavishnu is Mahavishnu from Krishna, Mahavishnu emanates in one sense. So Krishna is the source of everything. He is not an incarnation. He is the original. So, so it is also said that. So here one important point that comes is, so when we talk about the universal form, no, the universal form, or in the Bhagavatam also there is a discussion of the Virat Rupa or the Vishwa Rupa. All same it is actually. So it is not a permanent, it's not an eternal form. What do we call as what is meant by eternal form is, see, something whatever is in this material world, it is there, it is true, but it is temporary, it is not permanent. That is at the end of the material, when the material universes what is it, disintegrate, even the material forms also go. So that is how it is called as temporary. Similarly, the universal form is about within this universe. There is nothing, it is not eternal, it is not there in the spiritual world. Now when we say Narsimha Avatara, Ram Avatara, or different avatars or different incarnations of the Lord, they are eternal. When we say Rama Avatar, the concept of Rama Avatar is there in the spiritual world also. There is Ayodhya in the spiritual world also. So the different incarnations have a place and position in the different Vaikunta planets or in the spiritual world, like that if we say. But the universal form, when we say it is a temporary form in the sense it exists within the material realm. There is no concept of universal form in the spiritual world. And it is also that the universal form means see, now we know that Krishna is the cause of all causes. Krishna is the cause of all causes. That he has very clearly, in a great detail, he has explained in the 10th chapter. So now when Arjuna is requesting Krishna to show his universal form, means to show that he is the cause of all causes through a form, through a manifestation, he is requesting Krishna to show. That is, suppose we have a shopping mall, and in shopping mall we have different floors. This floor is all vessels, this floor is all clothes, this floor is all electronics, this floor is all vegetables, whatever. So 10 floors are there. So similarly, this universe has different aspects. There are thousands and thousands of birds, beasts, humans, animals, and in humans also different, and manus and demigods. And not only that, even the different modes in different qualities. So many things we have in this universe. And Krishna is the source of everything. And Arjuna is asking Krishna to show that he is the in a manifested form, in a graphic representation form. He wants to he's requesting Krishna, you show us that you are the source of everything. That is to say, suppose in that shopping mall, different floors are there, and now in one floor, all the items of all the floors are brought in one place. That is kind of thing which a universal form is. That is everything, every detail of this universe is shown through the body of Krishna. So that is the that is the magnanimity, and that is the kind of vision, something which Krishna showed, and which is very difficult to behold also. Yes, Mataji.
Yes, Mataji. Now, as far as Arjuna is concerned, he says that his illusion is over. This means that Arjuna no longer thinks of Krishna as a mere human being, as a friend of his, but as the source of everything. Arjuna is very enlightened and is glad that he has such a great friend as Krishna, but now he is thinking that although he may accept Krishna as the source of everything, others may not. So, in order to establish Krishna's divinity for all, he is requesting Krishna in this chapter to show his universal form. Actually, when one sees the universal form of Krishna, one becomes frightened, like Arjuna, but Krishna is so kind that after showing it, he converts himself again into his original form. Arjuna agrees to what Krishna has several times said. Krishna is speaking to him just for his benefit. So Arjuna acknowledges that all this is happening to him by Krishna's grace. He is now convinced that Krishna is the cause of all causes and is present in everyone's heart as the super soul. Thank you,
This
Mataji.
is
Hare Krishna. Dhanyavad.
Yeah, this is very beautiful because see, this is how we devotees are supposed to be. See, now what is happening, Krishna agrees to what Krishna has several times said. Krishna is speaking to him just for his benefit. We have also heard the acharyas, Krishna or Krishna's representatives. What are the words of the Bhagavad Gita, words of the Srimad Bhagavatam? It is just for our benefit. It is very clear that it is a way of life that has been given through the purpose of Srila Prabhupada. And we, if we are represent, if as a proper, as a authorized or a grateful descendants of Arjuna, if we say that we need to take the words of Srila Prabhupada and really consciously, with gratefulness, with gratitude, we need to implement in our life, because with very clear understanding that these words are just for my benefit. And he's saying that, and Arjuna is here by acknowledging that whatever is happening by Krishna's grace. That's exactly happening in all of our lives. Whatever we are going through, maybe ups and downs, happiness or distress, or whatever circumstantial situations which we are going through, it should be very clear, etched in our deep in our consciousness, that it is all happening due to Krishna's mercy. Only when we are in that proper consciousness, actually we will be going through Krishna's mercy. Otherwise, what happens is only karma takes over. Karma only will be taking over, but at least it is within the purview. Krishna is seeing through. That is means there is direct constant or direct conscious of Krishna on us when we are going through our karma. Otherwise, just be pure between us and our karma. There is no question of Krishna in between. Only when we are dependent, when we are consciously aware that what is happening is through Krishna's grace, and when we are consciously constantly dependent on Krishna's mercy, then Krishna takes that special care. Although we may be going through our karma, but at least like a collared dogs we are. Otherwise, we become stray dogs actually. We are pure in the hands of karma. So, and he is now convinced that Krishna is the cause. So it should be very clear and very aware, conscious every moment that Krishna is in our heart. Every thought, it is Krishna is registering, and every desire Krishna knows it, and every deep desire, every prayer Krishna acknowledges. What happens is, fortunately or unfortunately, it is like we will be little lost, we'll be little spaced out during times. Most of the time we are so much caught up in our day-to-day activity that always being conscious is little hard. But by conscious, by hearing and reading and focusing and by praying, most of the time we can be with Krishna, means at least we can be very conscious of the fact that Krishna is within us. So he is now convinced that Krishna is the cause of all causes and is present in everyone's heart as a super soul. So this is something very important for us as practicing devotees also. Okay, next
Hare
one.
Krishna, Mataji. Can I ask
Ah,
one question?
who is asking?
Uh,
Prashanti Mataji?
Prashanti.
Yes.
Yeah, actually, we say that whatever we read or we chant, everything we do for Krishna's pleasure, no Mataji. And at
We
the
are
same
supposed
time, we think that whatever we do that purifies us. So at the same time, we have that in our mind that it will purify us, and that is something like we are desiring, no Mataji. So how does it give the pleasure to the Krishna, Lord Krishna, Mataji?
no. If we are, when we are consciously, why do we want to get purified? To serve Krishna. So what we are, when we are going through the process of sadhana bhakti, we know that we have imperfections. We know that we have a lot of contaminations. We need to get purified. And when we get purified, we can get more attached to lotus feet of Krishna. We know that point now. So we do the sadhana bhakti consciously so that we get purified and we serve the Lord properly. That way it pleases Krishna. It is not that this is something our selfishness and that is something not. It's all connected only. It is interconnected. We want to get purified to serve Krishna. That pleases Krishna.
Okay, Mataji, I got it, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, second one, Sudha Mataji.
हरे कृष्ण माताजी दंडक प्रणाम
Dandavat.
भवाप्ययो हि भूतानां श्रुतौ विस्तरशो मया तत्त्वतः कमलपत्राक्ष माहात्म्यं मपि चाव्ययम् Translation by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. O lotus-eyed one, I have heard from you in detail about the appearance and disappearance of every living entity and have realized your inexhaustible glories. Purport also I'll read, Mataji.
Yes, Mataji.
Yeah, purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Arjuna addresses Lord Krishna as lotus-eyed. Krishna's eyes appear just like the petals of a lotus flower. Out of his joy for Krishna has assured out of his joy. For Krishna has assured him in a previous chapter, Aham Krishnasya Jagata Prabhava Pralayastata. I am the source of the appearance and disappearance of this entire material manifestation. Arjuna has heard of this from the Lord in detail. Arjuna further knows that in spite of his being the source of all appearances and disappearances, he is aloof from them. As the Lord has said in the 9th chapter, he is all pervading, yet he is not personally present everywhere. That is the inconceivable opulence of Krishna, which Arjuna admits that he has thoroughly understood. Thank you, Mataji. Hare
This
Krishna.
point, it is very important for us to thoroughly understand. What is that point? That is the specific point which Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that Achintya Bheda Bheda Tattva. Achintya Bheda Bheda Tattva means Krishna is there, but Krishna is not there, or Krishna is not there. That is to say, like everything is a manifestation of Krishna's energy. Like that, when we say, we can say that the water, the sun, okay, the sun is manifestation of Krishna's energy. That is, the sun represents Krishna's eyes, like that we can say. Or in the universal, on the Virat form, eyes of the Lord are the sun and the moon. So when we see the sun, we remember the Lord, because we understand, because it connects us, it kinds of maps that it is the energy of the Lord. So the sun is so powerful, it illuminates the entire creation, and it so many, we know its energy, its power, and its scientific what are the benefits of sun and vitamin D, if you see, or how it so many things we know about the sun. And now that sun is just a representation of Krishna's eye. So then Krishna, how Krishna would be great. So that way, when we see the different opulences or the different greatness or different vastness of this particular universe, it should remind us of Krishna. But that does not mean that sun is Krishna. That does not mean that. We don't have to worship sun as Krishna. That is what it means. So this Arjuna thoroughly he understands that Krishna is there everywhere, but everything is not like everything is not Krishna, like that. There is nothing sthavara or jangama, that is living or non-living, that is again, that is beyond Krishna's energy. There is nothing. When we drink water, prasoham apsu kaunti, we remember the Supreme Lord. That means we don't worship the water. It does not mean like that. But Krishna's energy is present in the water. So that is very clearly we should know. That time only we will understand that whom to worship, whom not to worship, what it stands for what. That exact mapping, there should be no confusions. That time when we are talking to others also, and when we are talking to ourselves also, when we see something and how we acknowledge, how we understand that things, that is very important. So there comes the position of the different demigods. Who is who? That who is Lord Shiva? Who are the different demigods? Who is Brahma? And what they represent? How we need to respect them? How Krishna is connected to them? How Krishna is aloof from them? Who is Krishna in our life? So these things should, that there will be no confusion. So when we enter a Shiva temple, or when we enter a Durga temple, or when we enter Lord Krishna's temple, we know what exactly our consciousness is, because we know exact things how they are. There is no more confusions that, oh, why you did not follow the Monday Vrata, oh, you need to follow. See, that time we are not confused. We know what it is. So here, that is inconceivable opulence of Krishna, which Arjuna admits that he has thoroughly understood, that he is present in everything, in everyone, everything and in everyone that exists. That includes the spiritual beings also. Everything is the energy of part of Krishna only, but Krishna is aloof from them. Okay, next one. Durga Mataji.
हरे कृष्ण माताजी धन्यवाद प्रणाम
Dandavat.
एवमेतद्यदात्तत्वम् आत्मानां परमेश्वर द्रष्टुमिच्छामि ते रूपम् ऐश्वरं पुरुषोत्तम. Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. O greatest of all personalities, O supreme form, though I see you here before me in your actual position as you have described yourself, I wish to see how you have entered into this cosmic manifestation. I want to see that form of yours.
So now exactly first two verses, Arjuna is expressing his gratitude towards Krishna for in detail explaining his different vibhutis, and he has the desire to see Krishna in that manifested form of all that opulences. And now he is putting across to Lord Krishna that if you so desire, I would like to see. That is how he puts it across. So that should be our prayers also to the Supreme Lord, that I desire to have this. Sometimes even in this material world, because we are there and we are in different situations, sometimes we may feel that this particular material necessity I need, means according to our calculation I need. So we can put across a request to Lord that this is what I feel that I need. Or sometimes we feel that some job we may have applied, and I feel that I am very much qualified for that job, and I will be able to balance both my work as well as home as well as my devotional practices by taking up this new assignment. So because we have a hope, we have a thought, we have some idea, we have some data, and based on that we think that this much is possible for me. But exactly what will happen by taking up that job, all those things only Krishna knows. So we as devotees, we can pray to the Lord that so this is something which I am thinking through my limited understanding, that this is something will be beneficial for me that way. So if you feel so, please let me have it. Or something anything. If you feel that we are pushed by some material needs or something, we can pray to Krishna that if you so desire, let me have it. So now also Arjuna is putting across his request to Krishna, telling that this is my desire to see your manifested form of all your opulences. If it is okay for you, please show me also. Grant me that request. Mataji, please read the purport also.
Purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The Lord said that because he entered into the material universe by his personal representation, the cosmic manifestation has been made possible and is going on. Now, as far as Arjuna is concerned, he is inspired by the statement of Krishna. But in order to convince others in the future who may think that Krishna is an ordinary person, Arjuna desires to see him actually in his universal form, to see how he is acting from within the universe. Although he is apart from it. Arjuna's addressing the Lord as Purushottama is also significant, since the Lord is the supreme personality of Godhead. He is present within Arjuna himself. Therefore, he knows the desire of Arjuna, and he can understand that Arjuna has no special desire to see him in his universal form. For Arjuna is completely satisfied to see him in his personal form of Krishna. But the Lord can understand also that Arjuna wants to see the universal form to convince others. Arjuna did not have any personal desire for confirmation. Krishna also understands that Arjuna wants to see the universal form to set a criterion. For in the future, there would be so many imposters who would pose themselves as the incarnation of God. The people therefore should be careful. One who claims to be Krishna should be prepared to show his universal form to confirm his claim to the people. Hari Bol Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So this we have discussed. So Krishna out of love calls him Kamala, Kamala, what he said, Kamala Kataksha, he said that time. Now he says Purushottama. And so he is overwhelmed with gratitude and joy and happiness and surprise by see Krishna. And absolutely there is no bewilderment for Arjuna. But as we discussed before, for future generation, out of compassion, he wants to say, show Krishna's manifested form also to the people in general. And our Srila Prabhupada, amazingly, now this purport, if you see, it has been written apparently like 50-60 years before only it is written. And but the great acharyas, how they can very clearly foresee the things. And so here is it for in future also there will be many imposters who would pose themselves as the incarnations God, is so much prevalent now, so much very prevalent now. So a few things though in from the Bhagavatam purpose period or the Bhagavad Gita purpose period, that we are amazed to see that how Srila Prabhupada knew like this is what is going to happen. And where he says that people are going to live like cats and dogs. Very true. Nowadays the concept of the way people are living, it's like cats and dogs, absolutely. So here, like in many in future, so the purports of Srila Prabhupada, the Bhaktivedanta purports, so it is eternal purpose in the sense that there is no time bound. It is not that in the 70s this was relevant, now in the this millennium it is not relevant. No, it is always relevant till the Krishna conscious movement is there, it is always relevant, because that is how the acharyas have put across the thoughts and ideas, which is so much relevant now that so many imposters can pose themselves. We can always very clearly say that if you are God, sir, please show your universal form. That's all it is. Nothing more we have to get from them. So we'll move on to the next one. Divya Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Yes.
मन्यसे यदि तच्चक्यं मया द्रष्टुम् इति प्रभो योगेश्वरा ततो मे त्वं दर्शयात्मानम् अव्ययम्. Shall I read the translation, Mataji?
Yes, Mataji.
Translation by Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. If you think that I am able to behold your cosmic form, O my Lord, O Master of all mystic power, then kindly show me that unlimited universal self. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Purport also can.
Okay. Purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. It is said that one can neither see, hear, understand, nor perceive the Supreme Lord Krishna by the material senses. But if one is engaged in loving transcendental service to the Lord from the beginning, then one can see the Lord by revelation. Every living entity is only a spiritual spark, therefore it is not possible to see or to understand the Supreme Lord. Arjuna, as a devotee, does not depend on his speculative strength, rather he admits his limitations as a living entity and acknowledges Krishna's inestimable position. Arjuna could understand that for a living entity, it is not possible to understand the unlimited infinite. If the infinite reveals himself, then it is possible to understand the nature of the infinite by the grace of the infinite. The word Yogeshwara is also significant here because the Lord has inconceivable power. If he likes, he can reveal himself by his grace, although he is unlimited. Therefore, Arjuna pleads for the inconceivable grace of Krishna. He does not give Krishna orders. Krishna is not obliged to reveal himself unless one surrenders fully in Krishna consciousness and engages in devotional service. Thus, it is not possible for persons who depend on the strength of their mental speculations to see Krishna. Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam.
Very beautiful purport, because so here Arjuna, if we see, na, Arjuna's strength, bodily strength, or his intellectual strength, or physical strength, or in any way, if we compare with Arjuna is much greater than us. Correct. Na? But in that, and that too, he is the he and Krishna are cousins. That is immediate relatives there. And he is the best friend of Krishna. and now Krishna is his chariot driver also. And like one on one, they are like in with Krishna. But Krishna, Arjuna knows what Krishna is and what he is, and he is requesting Krishna, and he is understanding the unlimited position, potency, and the power of Krishna, and how he is limited in every way in front of Krishna. So it takes one to understand his position. It is really a humbling situation. That is, it takes a great level of humility to accept that what I am. See, now in front of Lord, in front of Murti, we may say that Lord, yeah, I am so insignificant, I'm so fallen. It is that also people don't do, but if we can still do it. But to tell it to a person, to acknowledge to a great if we have a great friend of a or a counselor or someone, and we actually from the core of the heart to acknowledge their position and our position, it really takes a level of humility. That is very much important in order to actually gain knowledge. If we demand when we demand neither from the devotees nor from the Supreme Lord, we'll get anything. We don't get anything just by demanding. Only when we surrender ourselves. Here Krishna says that, here it is very clearly said by Prabhupada that I think in the last now, therefore Arjuna pleads for inconceivable grace of Krishna, does not give it to Krishna order. He does not order Krishna. Krishna is not obliged to reveal himself unless one is surrendered fully in Krishna consciousness as engages in his devotional service. So we as sadhana bhaktas, we need to perform our sadhana because we have conditioning, unlimited conditioning we have, thick layers of conditioning we have. Only by grace of the Supreme Lord, some possibility of removing our conditioning. Otherwise, by our own effort, by Janmantara, we keep on going through this cycle of Janma Mrityu Jada Vyadhi, but it is never going to get over. So much thick conditionings are there, and moment by moment we are adding on to it the different layers. Only when we surrender, when we understand the position of the unlimited, how much we understand how limited we are in terms of understanding, intelligence, thinking, every level we are much insignificant. But only thing we have thing is we want to serve that unlimited. The desire is very strong, and when the desire is very strong, very strong, very sincere, very serious. What do we mean by sincere and serious desire? Sincere and serious desire means when we have the desire to serve, we work towards it. We put our efforts towards it. We may not be the best in doing anything, but when we put our sincere efforts, the best of our capacity, Krishna is pleased by that. And Krishna is pleased by that. All other things which is required for that service will be manifested either directly or indirectly or through other devotees, or we may be engaged in other kind of devotional service which we are capable of executing. All those details come finally where we exactly get engaged. But the point is, we really sincerely, seriously want to serve the Lord. That desire has no contaminations. The desire is very pure, and we understand our lowly position. We surrender ourselves. We want to submit this particular life for the Supreme Lord. When these things are happening, then Lord's mercy automatically comes. We cannot demand anything, and if we demand also, it is useless for us, because life after life will be simply being rotting in this material world. Nothing is going to happen until we surrender. So we have the choice of surrendering now, or after many lifetimes, after we are nicely rubbed and pushed and nicely thrashed by the material world. After that also we can surrender. We have that choice. But the point is, unless we surrender, nothing is going to happen. And here also, one more thing which Prabhupada says is, it is not possible to understand the infinite through finite, to our finite brains. We have a limited capacity in our mental space. We have very limited. In our human beings only, some of us would be very intelligent, some of us would be very dull-headed, some of us would have last big brains, some of us would have very small, limited, all that may be there. But the biggest brain, if any human being is having also, compared to what Krishna's brain is, it's absolutely insignificant, absolutely useless brain it is. Only by the mercy of Krishna, that big brain may get some intelligence to serve Krishna. That is only possible. So if we try to fit the infinite in our finite brains, it is not possible. One thing. Second thing, because we cannot fit, to tell that does not exist, becomes foolishness. That what the modern scientists or modern people or the atheists do is they try to understand what we say about the Lord and try to fit it in their brains. And when that does not fit there, they say that does not exist. So we don't believe in you. That is what they say. So these pages of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita help such person to understand that what is the position of the Supreme Lord. For that also requires some element of faith, because if they don't believe in the book only, what can be done? If they have some faith in the book, if they're ready to go through what is written in the book, then try to understand and that could pray to the Supreme Lord that let me develop that faith. So then it is possible, and then it is seen. Now for us, when we are telling that we believe in the supremacy of the Lord, that does not mean that for us it's always a pain. Oh, I have to believe, I have to believe. For me, it is not like, oh, I have to believe Krishna is there, Krishna is there, I have to believe. It is not imposition on my brain. I, from within, I feel happy when I think that I understand Krishna is there, because I have developed at some level of realization that yeah, Krishna is existing, Krishna is there. So that happens. So then it's no more a push, because if it remains a push throughout our life that okay, I need to understand, I need to believe Krishna is there, I need to believe Krishna is there, then it is so much painful. But if we actually feel it, presence of Krishna, then it is nice, it is relishable. So similarly, that feeling Krishna will give. Krishna, but first level is we need to really try to put us, humble ourselves, put ourselves down and agree for the supremacy of the Lord, and other things will automatically get revealed. Okay, we'll go to the last purport for today. Swati Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Yes.
Shri Bhagavanuvacha Pashyame Pardarupani Shatato Atahastasha Nana Vidani Divyani Nana Varna Kritini Cha. Translation by Srila Prabhupada teacher. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, My dear Arjuna, O son of Pritha, see now my opulences, hundreds of thousands of varied divine and multicolored forms. Purport. Arjuna wanted to see Krishna in his universal form, which although a transcendental form is just manifested for the cosmic manifestation and is therefore subject to the temporary time of his material nature. As the material nature is manifested and not manifested, similarly this universal form of Krishna is manifested and non-manifested. It is not eternally situated in the spiritual sky like Krishna's other forms. As far as a devotee is concerned, he is not eager to see the universal form, but because Arjuna wanted to see Krishna in this way, Krishna reveals this form. This universal form is not possible to be seen by any ordinary man. Krishna must give one the power to see it. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Dandavats. So now first 4 verses Arjuna speaks. First he expresses his gratitude. Then he says that, you know what, I would like to see your manifested form. So if you so desire, kindly show me your universal form. Like that, the first 4 verses. Now in the 5th onwards, Krishna, Arjuna is showing and he is speaking. He says that, okay, since you have desired to see my universal form, okay, let me show you my universal form. Like that, he starts and Prabhupada says that devotees, now that exactly what we were talking before also, this universal form is not an eternal form. It is a manifest, it's a representation of all the material elements in Krishna. It's a representation, it's more of a representation. And when Krishna shows it, Arjuna was given the power to see it, and in that form, he sees everything that exists is within that universal form of the Supreme Lord. That is to say that when we say Krishna is the cause of all causes, we as devotees, we believe, but that is also a graphical representation. Like suppose we have the drawing and we want to show what we are talking when we are talking to some of our clients or in a business understanding. When we are talking to something, when we show a graphical representation of what we are talking, it becomes more appealing. And for Arjuna, there was nothing to be more appealing. He was already understood. But when there is a graphical representation for a common person also, it is easy to say that, see, now what I was trying to say is this. It becomes like this. So it's a graphical representation is easy. Now to Krishna is going to show his form which represents the material world. And so here Prabhupada says that it is not an eternal form. It can be manifested or it can be non-manifested form, because it's a temporary form which is limited to the material nature, to the material universe. It is limited. And also devotees don't hanker or look forward that, okay, I would like to see Krishna's form. One thing, we are not qualified. Second thing, we don't have the power. Third thing, Krishna need not be obliged to us. Fourth thing, we are not Arjuna. Fifth thing, we are not going to do anything by seeing that. So what for us, hearing about Krishna and doing sadhana bhakti based on the words of Acharya is more than enough for us to go back to Godhead in this lifetime. That is possible for us. That path is already drawn for us. For that, graphical representation is given, path, way, method, procedure, everything is there. Everything is clearly laid. Opportunities are there. Everything is there. Just that we have to just consciously do it every moment of the life. We need to be conscious. We need to conscious of Krishna every moment. That is something which is lacking. We are all devotees, but sometimes getting up, chanting the holy names, doing the required seva, doing the puja, cooking, offering to the Lord, going to temple, meeting devotees can be a mechanical procedure. A moment to moment taking shelter of Krishna is something which is very important for us. That is something will keep us Krishna conscious. Otherwise, everybody else has a way of life. We have this way of life. Naturally, this way of life is much, much good than what others are having. There is no second thought about it. But for us to be serious devotees, we need to take shelter of Krishna. That is, we need to be aware of our portion. We need to be understanding, prayerful, thoughtful, be conscious of Krishna. In short, we have to say we need to be Krishna conscious moment to moment. That is the little challenge. Otherwise, little we are devotees. Devotees means we are little there in that realm of being a devotee. We are there. But to be conscious, serious devotees, we need to be conscious of Krishna all the time. So, thank you very much, Dandavats. These chapters are kind of, we feel that we are telling or hearing the same thing, but Prabhupada is also in the purports trying to tell and emphasize, put across the point that position of Arjuna, position of Krishna, our position, and how we should understand these chapters. So, that way, let's make an effort to understand it. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji.
Dandavats.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare
Thank you,
Krishna.
Mataji.
Hare
Dandavat.
Krishna,
Hare
Dandavat
Krishna.
Pranam.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Dandavat Pranam.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Mataji. Dandavat pranams. Very wonderful session.
Dandavats. Hari Bol.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Bol, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Lakshmanand Mataji. Mataji. Okay, thank you so much. With all your permission, I'll just end the meeting. Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam to all.